but I can see us being, like, Restream has noticed that we're trying to stream. Okay, we're live there.
I just started getting an ad on Twitch, so I think that one is arriving.
Cool. Okay, yeah, I can see us on Twitch as well. And then let me look at YouTube. It looks like we're live on YouTube. Let me make sure that everything's correct here. Yeah, it looks like we got the right description and everything. That's cool. How do I actually... There, the control room. I forget how... I only stream, for this channel once a month these days, so... add the game title here. So it's easy to forget how things work. Okay, yeah, I think we are fully live on YouTube as well. Oh, the one thing I didn't do was grab the Restream chat. I don't know if you would like to see that as well, Lucy, but...
The Restream chat?
Yeah, the sort of the combined chat, because I think, because you're going to be looking at Slack and the moderators sending us stuff, but if you'd like me to send you the live chat so you can look at it directly yourself, I can do that.
What's the difference exactly? Because I can see, welcome folks, I can see some stuff coming in on the Twitch chat because I have it open in a tab.
The main thing is just being able to see both Twitch and YouTube in the same screen.
So
so I just added a link in Slack, like in the channel where we've got the moderators feeding us questions. If you go there, I left a link there for you, so you can
okay, cool,
check that out. So hi everyone who's joining us. This is the pre-stream. We've got about 3 minutes before we go live, so we're just here to gather the audience and say hi to y'all. This is, Lucy. That's Kara K over there. She's going to be our guest, at least at the beginning of the stream. And yeah, I'm excited to get into this. Update 25 dropped today, and so we're going to be talking about it. And yeah, it looks like, okay, I can see people. Got Robert Christian, Ingridson, Stoner Arcade. Stoner Arcade! I love Stoner Arcade's videos. You should go check him out. Stoner Arcade does all of these, like, comparison videos between State of Decay 1 and Heartland, like going to different parts of the map and, like, fading between them. It looks really cool. Go check out his channel. It's awesome. And, oh yeah, so Z Fornonimus is on, oh yeah, Sailor Wolf, Mr. Legslap. So we've got people on Twitch and people on YouTube. Good! That means that we are visible and there's no major technical problems. Rouge wants the ability to fly a plane in the game. Okay, so at some point I'm going to say, we're only going to be listening to your good questions and not your bad suggestions. So Rouge, I'm sorry, that one would not have qualified in the middle of the stream. Just kidding. Of course, everybody loves flying planes. It's great. I love doing it. Far Cry's got that wingless plane. You can sort of like shoot up a ramp and then splash down in the water. It's awesome. That's about the level of plane we could consider doing because we're not set up to have you just flying around arbitrarily in our map.
I saw somebody with a mod for a helicopter.
Of course.
Of course. I'm betting there was a lot of pop-in when they did that. They could probably get into some really uncomfortable places. Because you know what? Our invisible walls that stop you from getting into the wrong parts of the mountains only go so high and then they stop. Just like, what the? Okay, that's weird. Anyway, they only go so high. I kind of want to make
a model plane thrown, or paper plane thrown consumable now.
Oh, yeah.
Like, get some, we see the model and then we can just,
I just realized that there's a giant butt above my head, which is not really the best,
Just hold your breath.
Exactly. Well, that's going to be sitting there. Like, most of the presentation has got that butt there, so we're just going to have to deal throughout most of the stream.
You could zoom in and, move it so the gun is closer to the edge.
Probably could, except I've actually got it lined up so that later on I've got a bullet list of all the items, and one of them, the sidearms feature, has a little arrow pointing at the gun, so I can't move the gun now. It's just, locked in place.
Well, the only people who know you said that are here in the chat, and then everybody else, if we just stay silent, they'll forget about it, right?
Ooh, Nightmaker just pointed out a bug that we should write down. Okay, we're supposed to start the stream right now, but I'll write the bug down that Nightmaker just pointed out. So hopefully I'll remember what gun instead of rucksack means. Because, yeah, it looks like because we moved the boxes around, it might be that we're defaulting to the gun when you open the trunk of a car rather than defaulting to the rucksack, which would totally make sense. But we should probably look at that. So thank you, Nightmaker, for pointing that out. Okay, I think it's time to go. Everybody ready to actually start the proper stream? I need to get my notes up here. I'm seeing no thumbs down from Lucy or Kara, so I'm assuming that we're ready to go.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Hello, survivors. Welcome to the State of Decay 2 stream, your source for all the latest updates from Undead Labs. I'm your host, Geoffrey Card, and you know why we're here. It's because Update 25 just landed on all your Xboxes and your PCs. It's available on all platforms now, not just to the public test realm. Though, I gotta say, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to all the players in the public test realm who've been feeding us feedback, helping us refine these features, just giving us a ton of information on how these new features from Update 25 play in the real world. Some of your feedback actually went into Update 25, and some of it we're still working on. You should expect that there will be more updates down the line that contain continued refinements to sidearms, to plague territory, to the outpost upgrade, because we're still listening, and those of you who have been playing in that public test realm have given us so much good stuff to work with, we couldn't even fit it all in the update. So before we get into all of the nitty-gritty details, I should introduce our guests, starting with Kara K. Kara is joining us from Valkyrie Entertainment, which is an outside studio that we've partnered with to help expand our capabilities on State of Decay 2. How you doing, Kara?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
We're really happy to have you because, Brant and I have both been advocating so hard to get sidearms into the game, and it wasn't until you joined the team that we were actually able to make it happen. So, Kara is the primary developer on sidearms. She's here to talk about some of the additional refinements we've made to that feature since the last time you saw it. But she's not the only one here. You all also know Lucy Tibbits as the designer behind the Outpost upgrade and one of our regular co-hosts. How you doing, Lucy?
Good to be back. I haven't been on in a while, and I am super excited to see how everybody handles the updates, upgrades, etc.
Can you tell us a little bit about the background behind you? I know there's a lot of fans of your backgrounds when you show up on the stream.
No, this week it was just like I was testing something last week, and suddenly I noticed on the ground. I can't see by. Just every once in a while, random body parts will fly off of zombies and stay longer than they should. So
those are really well arranged. Like you can really sort of imagine there's an invisible zombie there just trying to crawl a little bit towards you.
Yeah, playing invisible piano or something like that. Anyways, I'll let you talk.
It really look like that, yeah. So Lucy is going to be feeding us questions from the chat. So send all of your good questions our way. Your bad questions, we're going to ignore them. Just your good questions is all we want. So we've got a lot to get to today, and oh wow, my Xbox went to sleep. So we've got a lot to get to today. So let's just jump right into it because there's more to this update than we've even talked about so far in multiple streams about the new features. So when you've got Update 25, the first place you're going to land is here. You're going to see this summarized version of our patch notes. Now, this is not actually all of the additions to the game that we made. We just hit the headliners because nobody wants to read things in a video game. So you can scroll down here if you're new to some of these features to get a summary of what they are. But the most important thing on this screen is the fact that in bold type, in 2 different places I pointed out, you must move to a new map in order to enjoy most of these features. I'm really hoping most players see that text because while like, say, sidearms and the improvement to community skills, those you get immediately, until you move to a new map, you don't get access to plague territory or outposts. And so I have not actually done any work in my personal game that we usually stream. I have not actually done any work to bring this community into the new world. So we're going to go through that process together, starting with equipping everybody with a sidearm. Because we've got Kara here, we should talk about sidearms as our very first thing. And then we'll go through the process of moving maps and see what it's like to get into Update 25. So this is the same community that we have been playing with a ton in the past. We've got about, 8 characters in this community. It's a nice big one, but none of these characters have sidearms. So now, Kara, a lot of people have seen our previous video about how the sidearms feature works, but we put a little bit of refinement into it since then. And a lot of folks, our patch note streams tend to be our more popular streams. So there's a lot of people who don't actually know how the sidearms feature works who are going to be watching this video later on. Do you want to give players just a little bit of a primer on what has changed?
Sure. Basically, any ranged weapon that would go onto the character's hip is now equipable as a separate sidearm slot. So you've got your pistol on your leg holster, and then anything that would go on your back, both of them are going to be active at the same time, and you can press either Y or 2 for the default keybinds to swap between them.
Yeah, so let's grab her. So this character has already got. So because she was carrying a Devilette revolver before I got update 25, she is still carrying that Devilette revolver on her hip, and it has showed up in the sidearm slot. But if I want to grab her a second weapon, I could grab her, say, the Graveyard Shift, equip it, and now she has got both of these weapons. You can see she's got the Graveyard Shift hanging on her backpack, and she's got the Devilette on her hip. So now, when I'm aiming my Devilette, I can just hit the Y button, and you can see over there on the side of the screen, you can see that there's the Devilette is highlighted, and then she can switch. If I just press the Y button, she can switch between the Devilette and the Graveyard Shift. And it's really fast and smooth.
We've done some rearranging of that weapon HUD and a couple of other UI pieces to facilitate the sidearms.
Hey guys, I know this was a question for me, like when I first tried sidearms. What happens to like weapons that have the multiple fire modes? Like, has that control system changed?
The fire modes are all the same for all of the weapons. The button may have moved.
Yeah, so originally, and this is actually going to be new to players, even in the public test realm, when we originally shipped this feature, we actually put the fire mode button on B, right? Because this was entirely my fault. I was imagining the way that I play the game, and I was like, well, I never dodge while I'm aiming my gun. I aim my gun when the zombies are far away, and I stop aiming my gun when the zombies are close. So I never need to dodge anything. And so I was like, yeah, no big deal. We'll just use the B button. And you know, people, Carl will remember, people raised concerns. I was like, no. It's totally fine. We could just do this. But we put a question on the survey about it, and then players definitely reported back that they would rather be able to dodge while they were aiming their gun. And so my apologies to Kara. I've already apologized to her. She had to go back and do it again in a different way so that now you actually can dodge to the side while you're aiming. And it's kind of funny. While we were working on this, I did get into a situation in my personal game where absolutely I was aiming at a bunch of zombies and I saw a zombie coming in from the right and I was like, ah! And I was like, oh crap. Now we need to definitely do this feature the way that the audience was saying we should. I was wrong. So yeah, so we stuck it on, like, you know, we've got your flashlight is on up on the D-pad, and then your fire mode is on down on the D-pad. And so those actually kind of, you know, match pretty well. Normally down on the D-pad is your inventory, but who needs to open their inventory while they're aiming the gun? Inventory is definitely one of those ones where you don't, I don't know if there's any players who tend to hold down the left trigger continuously, open their inventory, do a bunch of stuff, and then come back while still aiming. That doesn't feel like a thing that's a normal path for players to follow. So the thing is, I've got a ton of guns in my supply locker and a ton of characters. They all need sidearms. So while I'm working on that, Kara, how did you get into games? Let's get a little bit of background on you while I'm trying to get all these characters equipped.
Well, I have been a gameplay dev in some form or another for the past 10 years. I've worked on many different kinds of games, platformers, mobile games, and this is actually my first big AAA title to contribute to. So it's been a lot of fun, actually, being on such a big team with a bunch of industry veterans.
Which is good. Yeah, so I've been working on State of Decay and State of Decay 2 for the past 8 years or so, and that was also my first big high-profile game after working in the mobile industry and on games based on kids' movies. And so it's actually kind of fun to see. There's a lot of people who get a lot of experience in other parts of the industry that don't get a lot of attention, who are often very ready to start working in this part of the industry, making bigger scale, larger budget games. And it's really fun seeing the talent and experience that people who have gotten used to smaller games, much tighter budgets, much tighter schedules, and sort of the efficiency and the professionalism that they can bring to games like this. So yeah, so I've got this guy. He's gonna grab. So this guy's got a submachine gun in his back. He's got a revolver that he can switch to. There's actually
So, Jeff,
yes, go ahead.
can you actually? So, we had Dougie Fresh 505 ask to clarify: is a sidearm is any single-handed gun, right?
Actually, there is, I believe, sawed-off shotguns, which now get equipped to your hip slot.
Yeah.
And since it equips to your hip slot, that means that it is a sidearm.
Yeah, so the way that you can tell if a particular gun is a sidearm or not, like for instance, we've got the mare's leg, which is, it was actually one of the guns that sort of helped us bridge this gap a little bit between, you know, sort of define the boundaries between what is a sidearm and what is a primary weapon, because the mare's leg has always been carried on your hip. It's considered to be a pistol, even though it's incredibly long, especially if you've got a nice suppressor on the end. You sort of aim it like a pistol. You keep it on your hip like a pistol, but it is long like a rifle or a carbine. And that kind of broke the, kind of broke through the barrier a little bit and made us realize we don't actually have to have something be the size of a pistol to put it on your hip. You can put anything on there. Now, if we put a really long sniper rifle on there, it's going to be clipping into the ground and looking ridiculous. But we didn't do that. So but we did put several shotguns in that slot. And I don't think this community necessarily has any shotguns that are in that category. I don't know if they do. Let's see. No, I do. I've got an 870 sawed off. There we go. Okay, so let's drop that mare's leg. Yeah, so I've got a sawed off shotgun now, and I don't know, let's get them some kind of like sniper rifle maybe.
Everybody needs a spare shotgun.
Absolutely. So this is 5.56. That's a 12 gauge. Let's take this guy out with these particular weapons. So let's say I've got 5.56 here as backup. Let's grab some 12 gauge. And so now you can see that this guy has got a sniper rifle hanging from his backpack, and that's normally what he can use. He can zoom in, snipe zombies from afar, that sort of thing. But then if he gets into a pinch close up, he can switch to his sawed-off shotgun. And this is the kind of thing we're hoping players will be able to do, is to pick weapons of very different types in order to sort of like round out the tactical possibilities when they're out in the wild. So let's see here. So yeah, so sidearm swapping, it sounds like a lot of players have recommended this feature. This is something that it actually showed up in our wish list more separate times than any other feature anybody requested. And to a lot of people, it just seems like a really straightforward thing. Like, just add another slot and then you can switch weapons. But it actually turned out, like when Kara started looking into it, it actually turned out to touch practically like tons of different places in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely a journey, because something like this, you're not expecting that dozens and dozens of different systems are assuming that you only have one ranged weapon. So just having to go through all of these places and making sure they all know, okay, well, it could be one of two different slots that you're checking for either a quest or for talking to traders, or editing your friends' inventory. So
yeah, that's right.
It was a lot.
Because there's basically, the inventory always looks the same. It's actually like, it's several different menus that all look the same. And you have to implement a change like this in every single one of them. And it can be nuts. And like, for instance, you ended up needing to come up with a solution to attaching mods to weapons.
That was a complex one that we had, wasn't it? So
do the sidearm changes also come to modes like Daybreak and Heartland?
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Cara, I believe Heartland, yes. Daybreak, no. Is that the right answer?
Technically, sidearms is in Daybreak, but I don't think any of the weapons in Daybreak are hip equipped.
That makes sense. Okay, yeah, that does make a lot of sense. I think that there might be like maybe one pistol that's like the Clio pistol that no one ever uses, and so good luck. But yeah, it definitely
analytics will just see that pistol go way up in the usage chart.
Yeah,
right.
Probably so. I was just going to say that, yeah, but like it turns out it actually is easier to implement something like this everywhere than it would be to try to separate it, I imagine. Like trying to implement it only in the core game and not in Heartland would probably be a much bigger challenge than just doing it everywhere.
Yeah, for sure.
So one thing, it was kind of like, I don't know, talking about sort of like weird stories that happened along the way. You actually ended up discovering an exploit that I didn't even know about that players could use. Do you want to tell a little bit about that AI exploit that you found?
Sure. I was making the AI, understand that they had a sidearm and that they could switch to it based on if they need to reload or if they have a jam in their gun. So, in the process of fixing that, I found out that it was actually coded that when a AI character broke their gun, or if they were given a broken gun, when they would go to shoot, they would fix that gun for free. So if you had any number of broken weapons, you could just put that on the AI character, take them out with you, and they would fix all of your guns.
And the funny thing was, like, because you were just looking at it from the code side, you found out the way it worked, and you were like, "Oh, well, this is the way it works," and you just assumed that everyone knew that that's how it worked. And when you talked,
I swear,
talking to
I
me
put a
about
post out. I was like, I'm pretty sure this is an exploit. I don't know how nobody's found this yet.
That's how we all wish it worked, right?
Yeah. And so there actually were players out there who were using it who got very, like, when I tweeted like, "Oh my gosh, one of our programmers just found this thing. I didn't even know this existed. Why did no one tell me?" A bunch of people were like, "Oh no, you're gonna fix it." I'm like, yes, we are, because that's ridiculous. Like, there's no point in having a sort of a weapon repair system if you're gonna have like an exploit where characters can fix it for free. And so that exploit is closed. There's also an ammo duplication exploit that could be done in vehicle trunks that we've also closed. So some of those exploits are gone. You're gonna have to play the real game as designed. Sorry, everyone. But that's how it goes sometimes. So let's see. So dodging while aiming, that was something that came from audience feedback. We also fixed a problem that some players highlighted that included like floating magazines, which I think Kara also got a fix in for that, where it used to be that sometimes if you were reloading, tell me if I'm right. It's like if you were reloading the pistol, you would also see the magazine of your assault rifle start flying up into the air like it was being animated too, something along those lines.
It was possible to reload the other gun when it was not equipped, and you would see that animation of the other gun play out.
So it's like a poltergeist had grabbed the magazine, wiggled it around in the air, and stuck it back in again.
Even funnier, since that gun was no longer equipped, the animation states couldn't finish out, so it would you'd see the clip dangling on the gun infinitely, and it looked really funny. So
we have players who in the public test realm to thank for the posting videos and helping us find these bugs. I know at least that one in particular, I know that I saw a reference to it in the YouTube video. That's what sent me hunting it down to prioritize it. So that's why it's been really helpful to have this public test realm where players could play our these features early, give us feedback, and let us know how this stuff works, because we can then put it into action. And so when everyone, the audience at large, gets access to this stuff, it works better than it did before. Now, there are still a couple of fixes and issues that we found that we'd like to make that we're going to keep working on after update 25 is launched. For example, right now we're showing. Oh, I guess this is not a weapon that can switch fire modes. Let me find somebody who had one of those. Who had a weapon that can switch fire modes? Was it Dale? Let's see if Dale has one. Not that revolver. Oh no! Stop interacting with that person. Not that revolver, but
also,
one.
Hey Geoffrey.
Yes.
Also, are there any special weapons currently that classify as sidearms? I think the person asked about grenade launchers or crossbows or things like that.
All of our grenade launchers and crossbows are large enough they would look ridiculous on your hip. Though I would absolutely love at some point to get like a stockless China Lake or something like that you could put on your hip. That'd be amazing. We don't have that currently in the game though right now. None of the special weapons fit there.
Let's get a
All right,
slingshot
operative
for
word,
a
yes.
sidearm.
What'd you say, Kara?
Let's get a slingshot for a sidearm
That would be
weapon, and then you can just lob grenades.
Ooh.
Okay, so
I see some crossover.
you'll notice it over there on the aiming HUD. We've got, when we originally implemented it, switching your fire mode was on the B button, and so it made sense to have it show up on the right over there, Y, B, and A. It's a beautiful little layout to help you figure out where it goes on the face buttons. And similarly, it was 2, 3 on the keyboard, and 2 and 3 were in the right order. It felt really good. But now that we've got it down on the D-pad on the controller to make room for dodge, feels a little weird over there. So we might work on refining that a little bit. We wanted to make sure that your dodging made it into update 25, but it's a lot of work to not just change a feature, but also change all the UI around a feature. So that's something we might spend some time on a little bit later. And I believe there's also a couple of issues we have right now. There's a crosshair issue that we're working on. I believe that's true, right, Kara? That there's an issue where if you continuously fire in full auto without stopping aiming, the crosshair will get wider and will not go all the way back in. But
yeah, there's a couple of those that are slated for the next small update.
So, but if you, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that if you just release your aim and go back, the crosshair is back to normal again?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so that's going to go into an update that's coming out pretty soon. We can't give you an exact date on that or whatever, but we are working on that. And there's another sort of soft lock that can happen. Basically, if you're shopping for weapon mods, don't try to equip a weapon mod directly from the trader. That can cause a soft lock. And it's a pretty rare path for players to follow, so I'm not expecting a lot of players to run into it, but we're going to get it fixed as soon as we possibly can. And that's it. So that's the sidearms feature, which is the one that we can do without moving maps. And so that's why we wanted to do that first. Kara, thank you so much I can't even talk today. Thank you so much, Kara, for coming in here and giving us a primer on the sidearms and following up to all our player feedback. I really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
So we're going to let Kara go because there is still a lot of work to do on this stuff. So thank you again for being here. And then I am going to bring back just Lucy. And I did not crop her very well. That was
hiding.
the worst. Are you able to tilt your camera down? I should have tested this. Before the
I
stream.
let me full screen I'll fix this in a second. There we
Okay.
go.
Yeah. Oh, that works. Yes, your head is in an excellent place now.
Perfect.
Good. Okay, so we've talked about
Right next
sidearms.
to the hand, which I don't know. There,
Oh,
there
you
we
got one
go.
hand. You got a hand. Yeah, it's still creepily reaching over your shoulder. You're good. Okay, so another big thing we want to talk about is how you get the rest of the features. So we've talked about the sidearms. We need to talk about how do I get Plague Territory and the upgraded outposts onto this map. Because you can see I've got a classic old Plague Heart there. It's just, there's no Plague Territory aside from it. Exuding from it. And on this map, I've already killed most of the Plague Hearts anyway, just to kill time on the stream. So we need to get to a new map and see these new features. You'll notice that
Geoffrey, will brand new communities also be affected by this?
Yes, brand new communities will get the new features. So basically, if you're starting a brand new community, if you move maps, or if you change the map difficulty, which also resets the map, anything that gets you a new map is going to get you Plague Territory and the outpost upgrades. But if you're dropping into your current community that you've already been playing prior to the update, what you're going to see is not just a lack of Plague Territory and outposts. You're going to see that we've changed the way that map moving works. So you'll remember that the way it used to work was you would always have to go to your command center, which is kind of a hidden place to look for this feature, and you would have an option in here that was unlock new territories or search for new territories or whatever it was that we called it. I don't know. It's been gone for a while internally. I forgot what it was called. But what we have now is anytime you upgrade your command center for the first time to Command Center 2, we actually have unlock new territories as a passive effect. So you don't have to take any additional actions or anything. All you need to do is have a Command Center 2, and then you have permanent access to all of the map exits if you want to leave the map and go and settle someplace new. And if you haven't unlocked them yet, they still show up on the map, but just in a grayed out form. So and with instructions so that if you look at them, they will tell you this is exactly what you have to do to unlock the map exits. And I know that there's a lot of players out there who like to map hop a lot, who like to just bounce from map to map really quickly. And there used to be kind of a hassle in between of sort of needing to to pay for that action, wait for it to complete, wait till the map exits unlock. Now, once you've got a Command Center 2, which follows you from base to base, you've just always got the map exits open. So one thing that we are improving in a later update, it's not going to be in this build of the game, but it's going to be in an update that's coming out fairly soon, is we're going to fix the way that cars work when you're moving maps. Right now, here's my advice. So right now I've got 4 cars in this base. I've got this lovely muscle car. I've got this military truck over here. And then the other 2 parking spots are in front. I've got the Megalodon and I've got this SUV that I really like. So I want to keep all 4 of these cars. What that means is I should make sure that we've got a problem, which is whenever I drive to the map exit, I'm also bringing a 5th car with me. And so currently the way the game works, it will only bring 4 cars with you to park in 4 parking spaces around your new base when you arrive at the new map. And what that means is it's going to choose kind of arbitrarily from among the 5 cars, the 4 you've got parked at your current base and the 1 car that you drive into the exit. So what I would recommend is park the 4 vehicles that you want to bring with you to your new map. Park them at your base, then take some garbage car you don't care about and drive that one to the exit, and then get out of the car. Don't bring the car with you into the exit, and then you will definitely get those 4 cars that you have parked at your base, and you'll get to keep them. And when you arrive at the new map, you're going to be at your base, and you'll have all 4 cars. You can check and make sure you've got them. But in a future update, we are planning to change it so that you can actually bring 5 cars with you. So you can have the 4 cars at your base and have the 5th car that you drove to the exit all arrive with you at the base. But right now, that's not the case. So make sure, if you want to keep all 4 cars at your base, you get out of the car before you walk to the map exit. So here we are. Are we ready to go, Lucy?
Yep.
So I'm going to hold that button and confirm. Okay, so which map should we go to? Should we just let it pick randomly for us? I've been on Drucker for a while, so maybe we want to go to like Meager or Cascade Hills or Providence Ridge. Do you have a favorite, Lucy?
I say let's go to Providence Ridge.
Providence Ridge, which is not that one. It is this one.
Yeah.
All right, and then let's keep... Okay, map difficulty. You know what? Let's raise the map difficulty so we can see some nice plague spreading all over the map. And keep everything else at dread because that is my level, and we will accept. And we'll watch a lovely loading screen as we are getting to the new map and everything's getting set up. So yeah, so we're going to arrive in this new space with our community. You can see we're sitting here at the Firewatch Tower. I'm going to run down here. But before we go down, actually, let's look at the map. Oh, you know what? I set it to Nightmare, so I can't see the Plague Territory yet. That might have been a foolish decision for someone who wants to show Plague Territory happening really, really fast. But
Well, you could lower the difficulty again.
I guess that's true. You know what? Nothing's stopping me. Let's do that. Let's go down to Dread. But that was in response to player feedback. Originally, we were thinking that we would just always show all of the Plague Territory all the time. But players, definitely let us know that what they really wanted at those higher difficulty levels was the ability to scout the Plague Territory themselves. Okay, so now this is my Dread map, which still has a fair amount of Plague Territory, but now you can actually see it from the outset, unlike Nightmare and Lethal, where you have to discover it yourself. So you can see that I've got this feature, and if I'm looking on the map, oh look, there's this lovely outpost over here that used to not be on this map. And I can't, we can't see it because I've got Lucy covering it. But this is the New Hope Church. This is one of our landmark outposts. Actually, I think one of our more interesting ones, which Lucy has, I believe she's talked about it a little bit in the past. But that's sitting there waiting for me to, eventually claim it and decide which one of 3 strategies I'm gonna use with it, and which one of 3 advantages I'm gonna give my community. But yeah, so I've now got this new community. It's, not new community. I've got the same old community, but they've moved to a new map. We're ready to tackle Plague Territory. And for those of you who have not been watching our videos so far and maybe don't know what this feature is, we should probably give them a quick little summary of both Plague Territory and Outpost. Actually, do we want to start with Plague Territory or Outpost, Lucy? What do you think?
Well, I mean, we kind of have to do both because some of the outposts are claimed by plague hearts, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, these 2 features are really designed to go together because we've got, Plague Territory. The basic idea of it is each time you've got a plague heart on the map, instead of the plague hearts just occupying a single site, and that's the only site you have to worry about, they spread out this mess around them, this red splotch on the map that covers other sites. And so you can see, this base, for instance, the lumber mill is one of my favorite bases. If I want to claim the lumber mill, I can't, because there's a plague heart over here that's covering it with Plague Territory. If I want the right to claim this base, or this outpost, I have to first defeat this plague heart, which is a really, new thing in the game.
The good news is there's only 1 heart there, though. Did you meet the other requirements for claiming the lumber mill?
Let's see here. I've got enough influence and I've got enough people. maybe that's what we should try. It's to go
Yeah,
after this
why not?
plague heart. Okay, well, I'm going to go to this. So, all right, but when we were adding this plague territory feature, we figured that, this is a feature that makes the game harder and it adds new obstacles to the game. And so we wanted to make sure that players really felt like it was worth it. That we weren't just making the game harder just to be jerks, but we actually wanted it to be a more interesting sort of set of decisions for the player to make. And so that's where your outpost upgrade feature came in. So do you want to give players just a quick summary of like what they can expect to find with the outposts while I equip?
So the special outpost that Geoffrey is going to right now is called a landmark, and each one of the maps gets one of these for now. And it's a special outpost that instead of upgrading it into like 1, 2, 3, you have 3 options that you can choose from and basically toggle between them basically to choose like different benefits for your community. So the outpost he's going to has the tower, like I think it was Sanctuary, Sanctum, and Shelter, I think were the names we came up with.
That sounds good,
but there were watchtowers, there were beds, or basically almost like a lounge, to summarize. As for all the other outposts, now that for any ones that you use to collect resources from, when you upgrade them, they will produce more resources. You'll unlock the ability to train a certain skill at level 2 of those outposts. And at level 3, you are just producing more and more resources.
Exactly. And so you've got, landmark outposts like that are really powerful, and then even just your regular old everyday outposts that you are accustomed to. Oh, there's a bloater. Yeah. That you're accustomed to. Those have gotten better too, right?
Yes. I got distracted by another question, though.
Oh, yeah.
So somebody asked, will claiming a landmark outpost take from the allowed amount of outposts you can claim in total? And yes, they still count as one outpost slot. That's why we want you to think of them as like an additional strategy you can choose for managing your base. You may not. We wanted to design them in ways that it's not always going to be like the necessary critical strategy to take this with you. You can use it to make your playthrough feel different. We're really hoping to add more landmarks in the future so that there are different options to choose from if you want to incorporate a landmark into your base survival strategy.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And basically, the whole kind of purpose between, making, adding these landmark outposts and adding these, the upgradable resource outposts, which is sort of the other big side of the outpost upgrade scheme, is the fact that not only does that give you like more stuff to try to go after by fighting the plague hearts, but it also means that it opens up more options for you when you're trying to build your base. There's a lot of players who have reported that they feel like there's certain facilities that they always need to build, like the hydroponics facility, for instance. There's some players who are just like, well, I always have to devote a certain amount of space in my base to hydroponics because I need to keep my food. Now that you've got upgradable resource outposts, you can use an outpost for that, and you don't have to do that, and then you've got a bunch of space open at your base that you can use for other things. And the landmarks do a similar thing, right? They provide benefits a lot of the time that you would normally use a facility for, and then that frees you up to build other facilities.
Yeah, or double up on facilities you want, or areas of your community you need to bolster. I am really hoping that Lethal Zone's need for food is alleviated just a little bit with these, so players don't always have to feel like they're locked into a single strategy for lethal mode. But it's this is only our first attempt to upgrade the outpost feature ever. So hopefully, if you have suggestions, please feel free to submit them to the idea. What's that called?
The wish list.
On our State of Decay, the wish list. That's what we call the public one on the State of Decay website.
Yeah, it's at support.stateofdecay.com. Okay, so you'll notice, by the way, there's this like particulate stuff in the air around here. One of the pieces of feedback we got from the public test realm was we used these areas surrounding plague hearts that sort of told you that, oh yeah, none of the sites around you can be claimed. The red fog here used to be really, really thick, and some players told us that they felt like they couldn't even see well enough to play. And so we turned it way back. You can still see some of the fog around here when you're getting really close to the plague heart, but in most of plague territory, you see a little specks in the air, stuff like that, but it's not nearly as difficult to see through. And so that came from player feedback. From the public test realms. We also got a lot of feedback about zombie spawning. When you'd come indoors and you were fighting a plague heart, a lot of the time you would find zombies spawning in places that felt kind of uncanny. They would sometimes spawn infinitely out of rooms you'd already been into, stuff like that. And that made it a lot harder for players to fight plague hearts and to do pretty much anything else in the game. So because players were reporting that from the public test realm, we were able to correct that before update 25. So you actually, across the board, you should see much better indoor spawning, way fewer like uncanny zombie spawns coming out of closets you just left. Things like that.
Nobody spawning on the floor behind you, that kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. So I used most of my bullets from that gun, but luckily I can switch to my revolver, and we're totally cool. Oh, we got a fake A47. That is one of my favorite guns in the game. Bunch of useful stuff. All right, so now that we've taken down this plague heart, you can see on the map, it's emptied out. And so we're going to go back. Let me look at my notes here because... Oh yeah, so there are another couple of changes that we made in response to feedback from the public test realm. One thing you're going to see is it used to be that on the lethal zone in particular, you could actually accrue plague much faster when you were within plague territory, but we weren't able to give the player a lot of good feedback that was happening, and we had actually already tuned the plague accrual rate of at lethal so tightly that basically you could barely survive a bloater attack, a plague bloater attack at lethal difficulty. And with the additional plague accrual, you would just die every single time you encountered a bloater. And that part wasn't very fun. So, okay, looks like we
talked about a lot of different ways. Yeah, and they play tested a lot of them internally, tried a few of them in the, oh, now that screamer.
Great. I'm gonna have even more zombies to kill before I can claim this place. Oh, get off me. But yeah, anyways. So what were you saying?
Yeah, just how the feedback has helped us make these decisions to make the experience as good as possible for people. So if you are part of the public test roll on PC, I just want to say thank you to everybody. And I forget if we're continuing this for future updates. Is it still open, Geoffrey?
Yeah, so the public test room is still open, so you can still play in there if you want to. If if you really kind of got used to the community that you got in there, feel free to keep playing in there. Right now, the build that's in the wild and the build that's in the public test room are the same build of the game, so there's nothing special or new in the public test room. But that's going to change. The next time we work on some brand new feature, we're going to put it in the public test realm first, and folks are going to get a chance to play, to try it out. And it's still going to be really useful to us every single time now. We're doing all of our plans that we're making right now are around putting things in the public test realm first. So that's definitely still valuable. If players want to keep playing in there, we love it, and we'd love to see more feedback from you. So now I've claimed this base after having rescued it from plague territory, and it's lovely, and I feel very good about it. So as far as other changes we're going to make, one thing that we just did that did not make it into this build was a lot of players were worried that plague territory was going to push them to need to kill the plague hearts earlier and then push them towards progressing to a legacy faster. And there's a lot of players who like to avoid legacying because they want to keep their community forever. And that is completely understandable and a valid way to play the game. And we're actually thinking more about ways that we can support players who play that way. But one thing we're going to be doing in a future build is making it so that missions that send you to go kill a plague heart will not spawn if you've only got one plague heart left. So we won't have this weird setup where you're deliberately keeping a plague heart alive so you don't progress to your legacy, and then we keep sending you missions to go kill that plague heart. We're going to stop doing that. So that'll come in a later update. Other pieces of other refinements that we made. One thing is we repriced the outposts, right? The outposts and the outpost upgrades. We actually made some changes to the costs of the outposts in response to player feedback. Isn't that right, Lucy?
The original outposts, I don't believe so. It helped us set the costs for the new outposts, and the live feedback was helpful for iterating on that. So the initial numbers we released to the public test realm were not good enough, and we were able to shake. I can't remember if we raised them or lowered them because I've had so many different projects swirling in my head this past week.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, what we did was so basically you had set some. the first numbers that you had set, you deliberately set them to be low so that players could try them quickly and sort of give us some feedback really fast without having to spend a lot of time saving up for it. But then after we got feedback from players, one of the major pieces of feedback we got on the outpost was that they were way too cheap. The players wanted to save up for these really powerful things. And so we actually used, we looked at data from players in the beta and elsewhere to see how much of an influence sort of surplus they were running, and use that to sort of feed into like, you know, repricing these upgrades so that players can actually sort of save up for them and spend time trying to earn them. So, and we also added a cooldown. This is something that I had no idea how to do, and you figured out how to do. We added a cooldown to the skill. So there's skill training features on the outposts that let you give you access to sort of the basic community skills, like well, not gut packing. That's what this guy has, but
if you go to a food outpost, you'll find the gardening skill. Do you have any characters that don't have a skill to learn yet, or?
Let me see here. Yeah, so we've got actually. Yeah, I think that Steph here needs to learn a skill, so we can take her to someplace and learn a skill. And so, yeah, actually, we've got kind of some. So it used to be that you could just basically spam that button and just level up everybody's skills to the max. Now you have to actually sort of carefully decide when to use it because there's a long cooldown that you have to sort of wait for. Is that right?
Yeah, because first of all, it doesn't really make sense to just instantly inject the knowledge into your brain. Like, this is zombie apocalypse, not quite sci-fi, even though we have some cool tech from Red Talon and stuff. They're not quite there yet. So we wanted to make sure that players were spacing out how long it took them to upgrade somebody from the minimum skill level to maximum, because that's kind of meant to be over at least a couple of Plague Hearts length of time in terms of gameplay, not 5 minutes. That's a little unrealistic.
So let me see. I do not have a gardener in this community. So
okay. Well, do you have someone who needs to be trained?
Yes. Let's train. Let's go and be Stephanie Bang here, who's got an amazing name. We'll go get in the car and we'll go take over one of these outposts and teach her some gardening.
No, she needs chemistry.
You think she's chemistry?
Yeah, her name's Stephanie Bang, so she needs to have explosives.
Well, where do I go for explosives? What's the
that is
gun
do you know where an
stuff?
ammo outpost is?
I'm trying to think. I think that I believe there was one over here somewhere, but there's a bunch of, you know what, we might, despite the fact that her name is amazing, we might need to make her a gardener just because that's what we have access to right now, and we've got limited time. So yeah, you're right though. That would be much better to make her a chemistry expert. We've already got a munitions expert in the community though. So one thing that we should point out though, and this is something that we have not, I believe we have not talked about it in a ton of detail on the stream, is the fact that we have made an upgrade to the community skills, the 5th skills that characters have that sort of benefit the whole community. And the change we made is we actually made them benefit the whole community in more ways. So let's claim this outpost, and then we'll look at some of our characters' 5th skills and talk about it. So, okay, so now I've claimed this outpost, and I can actually right here open the outpost via the base screen, like the sort of the little sub window that you normally get only on the base screen. You can now get it live here at the outpost. And if I upgrade this outpost, which actually takes a little bit of time, but not much, then that's going to unlock the first level, which includes the skill training action. So I upgrade that, and now learn gardening is an option I have. So I've got the influence. I'm going to learn gardening, and now it's on a cooldown for the next 15 minutes. So if I wanted to come back and keep training her gardening and get her more stars in gardening, I totally could do that with this outpost. But I can't just sit here and spam it if I've got the influence and just level her all the way up instantly to 7 stars. So that was Lucy had to find a clever solution for that, like deep inside of our tools, and it worked, and I'm very happy with it.
I am too, because it was a little bit of a mess trying to get that to work. I forget. Did you ever try using a skill book while one of those train actions is in cooldown?
I have not. I've got no idea if there's a problem.
Okay. Well, I'm not necessarily a problem, but I guess that's something we'll have to check out.
Yeah, that's a good idea because it does have a similar effect, right?
Yes, exactly. The point of those actions was not to eliminate the skill books. They're still going to be there in loot at the same frequency that they were before. It's just we wanted to remove the blockages that players were experiencing with limited skills. Like, you need things like computers to upgrade your radio station, or I
Yeah.
Gosh, that's the one that always hampers me.
That's the one that always gets in my way, too.
Automechanics.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's a couple of big ones that you really always need in order to upgrade certain facilities. So we wanted players to have something that they could like make real choices for to go and pursue a character with that skill. So we we had looting and the skill books, but that's still kind of based on luck of the draw.
Mhm.
So skill action is the solution we came up with.
So we should point out some of the other things so update 25, it's got such big features. Like we want to spend all of our time talking about these big, massive gameplay changing features, but there's a bunch of smaller stuff too, including the fact that, for instance, we look at Vicky the metalworker here. Right now, it says that at her current level of her skill, she gives 15% plus 15% weapon durability to the entire community. That's a new thing. It used to be impossible for us to give personal benefits to the entire community via skills. It just wasn't even allowed by our tools. And now it is. And so we went through all of the community skills, and that special ability that you unlock at the very 7th star, that now generally tends to apply to the entire community, except in a couple of very special cases where it's obvious that it couldn't. To the entire community. And so that amounts to, let's see here. So pathology, mobile operations, and logistics, those all offered like special abilities. Like pathology offered some infection resistance. Mobile operations gave some fuel efficiency benefits. Logistics, I think, gave higher stack counts for consumables. Those all of their values went down for the individual holding it, but then they started sharing their ability to the entire community. So if you've got someone with logistics, all of your characters have their stack count go up by 1. If you've got mobile operations, all of your characters have higher fuel efficiency now. And if you get multiple characters with the same skill in your community, those abilities start stacking. So now, even though your pathology character no longer has the massive, ridiculous infection resistance that they used to have, it's down a little bit from where it was, they're sharing it with the entire community, and it overlaps with other pathology experts. So those of you who are on lethal, who are desperately trying to get your infection resistance up as far as you can, maybe train a community of doctors and see what happens. That might be kind of fun. So that's going on. We've got munitions and pharmacology now. They already offered universal benefits to storage. They offer bigger ones now. Let's see here. Cuisine and electrical also offer bigger bonuses. Go through. You should. I mean, I don't want to list them all here because this is not the setting where people want to get a long list of information. But go check out your individual things. Like eventually, for instance, I should level up this character's computer's ability and see what happens at the 7th star. I should level up this character's medicine ability and see what happens once they specialize and they get the 7th star. So you should all check that out too. And it'll all be detailed very specifically in the patch notes if you want to go to the support site or go to Steam where we post our patch notes and read the entire thing. We broke it all down there. Other stuff. We've only got like 10 minutes left. Other stuff that's going on in this game with this update include a bunch of quality of life improvements. Like right now, like if you call an enclave over the radio, you've got this top option up here, find resources and people, find other survivors. It used to be that when you selected this, it would always try to place an enclave close to your base. And so you'd end up with a cluster of enclaves around your base and nothing out in the wild wilderness. So now we actually base the location close to where your character is. So if I wanted to, find an enclave way up here in this corner, I could drive up there, use that radio option, and then an enclave would be found up in that corner rather than near my base. Now, if you liked them near your base, that's fine. Just use that radio option when you're close to your base, and you'll still have the same effect. But now, if you want to sort of spread your enclaves out or find better places to have contacts, like enclaves, you can do it now. Hosts. Now, when you're playing in multiplayer, the host can now see the tether bubble on the map. It used to be that only the guests could see it, and they would be like running to catch up with the host. And the host is like, "What? What are you doing?" And they would be like driving off and tethering all of their guests. Now, if you're the host, you can see the tether bubble, and you can tell if you're doing that, so you can actively avoid it. When you're surveying, actually, I wonder if there's a survey site I can start running to while we, continue reading some of these. When you're at a survey site, and actually, I'll do that in a second. When you're at a survey site, you can actually see enclaves on the map. It used to be that, your character would actually say out loud when you would survey a site that had an enclave, they'd be like, "Oh, hey, there's some people living there." But you wouldn't see anything different in the icon. Now you can see that there's actually an enclave there. And
Geoffrey, did we actually talk about the new icons and what they mean?
Oh, you mean like the new outpost icons and stuff? The discs behind the
Yeah,
icons?
and what they look like when they're plagued versus not plagued.
No, but if you want to talk about that a little bit, feel absolutely free. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, we wanted to make sure players could understand which sites were affected or not affected by the plague spheres, because of course, when you're trying to loot them, you can't make those sites safe if they're still in a plague sphere.
Plague
So
territory.
right now, yes, sorry, plague territory.
Yeah.
So we have indication of whether or not it's in a sphere. You can still tell if it's looted. You can still tell if it's infested as well. I don't think you have any infestations on the map yet.
I don't have any infestations yet, no, because this is a new map. But yeah, so you can see like if they're a special outpost or a base, which they get those discs around there. If they're an upgradable outpost, a landmark, if they offer power or water, or if they're a base, they get these discs behind them that turn red. But even if they don't have a disc, if they're just a regular beds outpost, they still get a red outline. So you can tell, okay, this one is definitely covered by plague territory, and so I need to take out a plague heart before I can grab it. This one, however, is not. So I'm going to head over to in that direction and start surveying while I talk about other stuff. Oh, here's something that I can actually demo a little bit. Let me open up the settings menu. This is there's a new accessibility option in the game, which is aim toggle. So this is actually for a lot of reasons. There are some folks with some mobility limitations for whom holding down a button for a long period of time can actually be very stressful, and it can be difficult to do. So if you're trying to snipe in a game that requires you to hold an aim button, that can end up being really challenging. And so we offer the ability now to turn aim into a toggle. So instead of holding down the aim button to aim at a zombie, instead of I can just tap it and I go into aim mode. And my friend is helping out over there. I appreciate that. And then whenever I want to leave aim mode, I can just tap it again and get out. And so that's partly for people who need that for like physical reasons, but it's also good for people who, for instance, if you started playing shooters with, say, Battlefield 1942, and that was and you really got used to the idea that you sort of right-click to go into aim mode and then right-click to go out again. If that's your habit, you can now make State of Decay 2 work that way. So it's a nice convenience for a lot of folks. So if I for instance, oh yeah, I forgot that I was in toggle mode. So let's find an enclave. I'm not sure if we're actually going to successfully set this up so that it works, but Steph's going to call for an enclave. We'll see if we can get him to show up on the survey. Other stuff. Survivors are no longer unhappy if you don't build certain facilities. This was a pet peeve anyway, that until you've built a watchtower, I did this on my personal stream. I was trying to max out my morale on Dread so that I could get the achievement for that. And there were characters at one of my bases, I could not do it because I had a penalty because I didn't have a watchtower at that base, and there wasn't a good place to build a watchtower at that base. And so now we've actually removed the features where there are 4 facilities. I think it's the watchtower, the garden, the workshop, and the infirmary. Now you don't have to build those 4 things in order to make all the community members happy. Now characters are going to be they will get a morale bonus if you build a facility they like, but they won't have a penalty before you build it. And the whole purpose of that was, in this new world of the outpost upgrade and everything, we want to have more base flexibility. We want you to be able to decide, I'm going to do a base with no workshop, and have that be viable without just sort of arbitrarily punishing you with a morale penalty. I
mean, that strategy in particular is a bit rough, but if you really want that as a challenge, you now have that option.
So it looks like the character that the enclave that showed up is far away, so I can't actually prove that this new feature works. But I promise it does. You can actually see enclaves on the map on the survey. Another little minor thing: the RTX Cyclone shotgun it now is actually a shotgun under the hood. So it fires shotgun shells. It's basically an automatic shotgun, but because it was kept on the hip for a long time, we treated it as a pistol, which meant that if you used it for, say, a shotgun bounty or something like that, it wouldn't count. Now it does count, so now it's officially a shotgun, along with all of the other shotguns that you can now keep on your hip, all the ones that say sawed off on them. Or the fall down go boom weapon, for instance, also counts and is a hip-mounted shotgun. And there's also we also went through and solved some additional bugs. Bloaters. When it used to be, we had a bug where sometimes if a bloater exploded near your car, the game would be like, that car's close enough, and would just give you a bunch of bloater gas in your car when the bloater was really, really far away, and that was ridiculous. And so we fixed that bug, and it no longer happens. Blood ferals no longer deliver infection to you when you dodge their attacks. It used to be that apparently their BO was so bad that even if you dodged under their armpit and like you didn't actually get hit by their claws, their BO would still give you plague, and that was silly, and so we don't do that anymore.
They're already unfair in so many other ways, so we decided to tone it down just a little.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just dodge the heck out of that bloater. We already talked about the exploits that we closed when we had Kara on here. And let's see here. Followers will now never gain 5th skills from conversations. So for a long time, we had these conversations that characters would get into about their backstory, and sometimes those would, if they had an empty 5th skill slot, sometimes those would give them a 5th skill that maybe the player didn't actually want them to have. And so we had players who would actively avoid ever having a follower, specifically because they didn't want those conversations to come up and give you 5th skills. And so for a while we thought we had removed all of them, but there was one little straggler. The professional DJ skill was still there. Now, the professional DJ trait, which gives you the music skill, was still there. So I actually miswrote the patch note. If you go look on the patch notes, I misdescribed the way that the fix actually worked. What I wrote in the patch notes was that trait no longer gives you the music skill, so that we wouldn't be filling that 5th skill slot. That's actually not what I did. When I looked back at the actual fix, what I really did was I made it so that conversation that identifies someone as a professional DJ only happens for characters who already have the professional DJ trait. So now you're not going to, have some random character who it doesn't already have the music skill get the music skill from that trait. It's just that conversation won't happen unless they've already got it, so it won't cause any harm. So you can feel free to bring followers with you on the road at will, and they are not going to get 5th skills. So just that's our I always hesitate to say promise in case I've left another bug in there, but it's a semi-promise to you.
Yeah, thankfully we're not removing any of those skills. They're still all going to show up on characters that you find or create. So it's all good things.
Exactly. Okay, so we are almost out of time. There are a few more things we wanted to talk about, though. Wonder did kind of give us permission to go a little bit long. If you've got some time, Lucy, is that all right?
Yeah, I got time.
Okay, we'll only go a few extra minutes over because one thing I definitely wanted to show. Let me try to get to a fairly safe place, like there's such a thing in this world. I don't think there's a lot of zombies around here, though. And I've got my friend to watch my back, so I'm gonna hop up on. Can I hop up on this car? I don't know how easily it is to.
You gotta go from the side, I think.
This particular car.
By the door.
There we go. Okay, I'm gonna stand up here. No, I'm gonna fall off again because I'm garbage at this game. Okay. So we've added 3 achievements to the game. That's something we really wanted to highlight. So right here, you can see this is the art. Brant Fitzgerald has now stepped into the role as our achievement artist. So this is the one for biggest ball of twine in Minnesota is the name of one of our new achievements. You can thank Zoe McClatchy for that title. This is for claiming your first landmark outpost. Then we also have one called 3-Hour Tour, which is for claiming 3 landmark outposts. We're not going to make you claim all of them, but it's for claiming 3 different landmark outposts over the course of, multiple maps. And then we have a third one, which is called, what did we call it? But it can be better. That's what we called it. Nice Wonder Woman quote there, also from Zoe McClatchy. This is for upgrading a resource outpost all the way to the top. And we've got a lovely tribute here, of course, to Peddler's Barbecue as our achievement art for it. And that's lovely. Thanks to Brant for making these beautiful pieces of art because I love them. And so those are your new achievements. So go out. If you've 100% of the achievements already, now you haven't. There's more to go and get. And I think that is most of what we were going to talk about here. We haven't covered everything. There are still minor things that we haven't talked about here, but if you want to go out to again, if you go to our page on Steam, you'll see that we've got the patch notes there. If you go to our support site, support.stateofdecay.com, I believe that we post them there as well. And so you can pour through it, find all of the details and all the little bug fixes and stuff like that we've done. It looks like we actually are only not going to have to go that far over the limit, which is great. Because, so let me quickly just go through just a quick summary of the major updates that we've made to the game with Update 25 for your convenience and screenshotting abilities. So, Plague territory. Now Plague Hearts claim an area around them, and you can't claim that stuff yourself until you've killed the Plague Heart, which should totally change sort of the order of operations, the way that players approach the strategy of taking over a map. It's one of the biggest changes we have ever made to the game, and we're excited about it. Upgradable outposts. Your resource outposts can now be upgraded, and when they're upgraded, they give you more resources, and they also unlock skill training actions that give you more access to a greater variety of abilities for your community. We've added landmark outposts, which are special outposts, each of which offers 3 different strategies, either 3 different ways to buy one effect or 3 completely different effects. And the goal with those is to try to, replace more things that facilities used to do, give you some new abilities, and give you a greater variety of ways that you can build up your base and your community's capabilities. Swappable sidearms. We started there. This is basically the ability to load up 2 ranged weapons on your character rather than just one. And instead of having to dig in your backpack if you want to change guns, you can swap guns on the fly by pressing the Y button while you're aiming, or by pressing the 2 button anytime if you're playing with a mouse or keyboard. All of those, by the way, we've got a key binding screen. You can change the keybinds to something that feels more natural to you if that's not your favorite thing. Streamlined map movement. So if you want to move from map to map, you no longer have to kick in this difficult to find action on your command center level 2. Now, if you've just upgraded your command center ever, all the map exits are unlocked. You can just go there and travel. Just make sure you've put some thought into where your cars are at the time. Improved community skills. All of the 5th skills, we've taken another look at them. Most of them, we've taken whatever their final ability was, the thing you unlock at 7 stars, and we've spread it so that it now applies to the entire community and not just to the one character that unlocked it. There's a few where that didn't make sense, or where we already had abilities, like for instance the storage upgrades that extended to the entire community, and in those cases we made some balance changes there too. So all of the 5th skills got touched in some way or another. You should check out what they do now and update your Wikipedia articles or your Game Wiki articles. And finally, 3 new achievements. And so you can go after those achievements. We just went over those. And lots more. If you want to go to support.stateofdecay.com or to Steam, you can find our patch notes and read about all of the other little details of things that we've fixed. And we're just so excited about this whole thing. We're so grateful to our community for everything that they've done to help us refine this feature, this set of features, and put this update in its best possible shape. And it's going to keep going. This is not the last update to the game. We're going to do some hot fixes to fix a couple of those minor issues we mentioned earlier in the stream. We're going to continue to respond to your feedback. You should expect to see some additional refinements to these features that we got feedback on in the beta rolling in over time. And we've got other big plans we have not even begun to talk to you about. And it's all in the works. And so this game is still very much alive. Every time we issue an update, somebody wants to feel really clever, and they get on the internet and say, well, that's it, State of Decay 2 is dead. It's not. We're working on secret stuff behind the scenes we have not even talked to you about yet. So please stay tuned here with us, and we'll always have more to share with you. So thank you. We're only a few minutes over. Lucy, thank you so much for being here and for passing us questions.
Thanks for having me, and thank you all for playing our game, and I look forward to hearing all the crazy stories that come out of this update from the creative people who play our game.
Yeah, exactly. And, and also special thanks to Cara Kay, who had to leave early, but we were really glad that she was here to walk us through the experience of setting up these sidearms and all the weird little details that she had to deal with, adding a new feature so, sort of deeply embedded in all of our systems. That was great. We're really happy to have her. And actually, we've brought in, big thanks to Valkyrie Entertainment, by the way, who expanded our sort of the amount of staff we were able to devote to a lot of these things. The map moving feature was also done by an engineer from Valkyrie, and we really appreciate all of their help. So with that, I think we're about done. So see you later, Lucy. And we will go to the outro screen. So go and play Update 25. It's available to everyone right now on Xbox and PC, on Steam, on Windows, whatever. We're going to be back to stream again on July 19th. Now that we stream every 2 weeks, of course, when we have a vacation, like, for instance, the American Independence Day, that means that we stream once a month. And so a month from now, we're going to do another stream, July 19th. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got big plans for that stream, too. In the meantime, go and play this. We'd really love it. And if you want to, continue to get updates from us, you can go subscribe to our channel. We'd love to share everything we can with you, and we're going to get out of here. Awkwardly. Because we're still here.
At least we can go cool off now. I don't know about you, but...
Oh, I'm boiling.
Yeah, like working from home in an oven, right?
Exactly. I had to close my door to keep the sound of my children out, and I'm about to die. Okay, I think that was probably 20 seconds. I don't know. I'm going to stop streaming now.